Good evening, everyone. You're watching the Just Keep Up podcast, where we're one step ahead. I'm Kurt Johnson. This is Pete Zindros. We're excited to be back to you guys here on this Friday. We have a great show planned for you guys tonight. We have a lot to talk about, lots to get into. Big show, our heated debate. We're going to be talking about who deserves to be the MVP of the NFL. So we're going to be talking about that. And then, as you guys know, this is our prediction Friday. So we're going to be covering or going over our predictions for the six NFL games that we have here coming up on the weekend for the playoffs. So it is going to be a great show, guys. So we're going to be going over MVP, and then we're going to be giving our predictions for the playoff games for the NFL. So it's going to be a great show. Before we get into it, I'm going to remind you to like and subscribe, help us to impact and to reach as many people as possible. In addition to that, guys, follow me on YouTube and Rumble, guys. Kurt's Philosophy, if you're interested in the world's deepest, darkest secrets. And then I think that's all that I have. So I'm gonna welcome back my co-host from vacation. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing great, guys. I had a great time on vacation, but now I'm back and I'm ready to put in the work again.
So, bro, who? Yeah. So just out of curiosity, who's gonna? Where were you?
I was in Mexico. Yeah. Half of my trip was in Tulum. The other half was in Cancun. I'm gonna be honest though, I like Tulum better than Cancun personally. I never heard of Tulum personally before I took this trip. All I knew was Cancun because that's more of the tourist spot. Although both places are tourist places, but personally, I don't know. I just like Tulum better personally. Like Cancun is like cleaner and in better shape, but I think Tulum got more shit personally. So I'm gonna say Tulum is better.
Okay, but you were in Cancun, and who's gonna meet you in Can? Who's gonna be there in Cancun in about 2 weeks?
Oh, Patrick Mahomes. Yeah. I already
Okay.
posted about it on my TikTok and my own personal YouTube channel, guys. If you guys haven't subscribed to me yet, go subscribe to me. Just type in at Pete's YouTube Shorts, okay? I just post my shorts up there, from the podcast and some personal life shit. Like I got a couple shorts up there for my vacation. I got a couple shorts up there of me flaming Patrick Mahomes like randomly in the day. So yeah, just go follow me there for a little bit extra support.
Yeah, guys, definitely go check that out. He's hilarious, man. He's hilarious. So definitely go check that out, guys. But we're gonna jump right into the show. So I'm gonna ask you the first question. So, well, I've, we originally had four candidates for MVP. I think we all agreed it was Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, and Saquon Barkley. Obviously, Joe Burrow missed out by not missing the playoffs. Excuse me. And then Saquon Barkley obviously missed out because he didn't break the single season rushing yards. They decided to sit him in his last game. So those two are kind of excluded. That's kind of universally agreed upon. So now we get into it. Who is the actual MVP of the 2024 season? Is it Lamar Jackson, or is it Josh Allen, or is it someone else that I didn't mention? Who's the MVP?
All right. Well, I think they're gonna give it to Josh Allen because he had the better record. He has the story on his side as well. Like, he lost his two best wide receivers and he got his team the second seed. He also doesn't have an MVP. Lamar already has two. So I'm pretty sure they're gonna give it to Joshy. But if you ask me who my MVP is, it's Lamar. I know Josh Allen didn't play the last game, but up to the point that he did play, he was 2 wins better than Lamar Jackson. I don't think 2 wins is that big of a deal. One was the 2 seed, one was the 3 seed. Okay. So I don't think those 2 wins makes much of a difference for my personal opinion. The stats all back up Lamar though. He has the better stats, it backs him up saying that he was the better quarterback all year, but you know, Joshi got the slightly better record. But like I said, he also has the story on his side. So if you're a fan of story and factoring that in, you could go with Joshi. But me personally, I'm just gonna go with Lamar because he was the better quarterback all year, and I don't think the team record is a big of enough of a gap to cover it.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I personally think Josh is the MVP. I would go with him, and I think he deserves it. I think he's going to win it, and that would be my pick. The reason why I wouldn't pick Lamar Jackson is because, what's the one knock on Lamar Jackson? Is he needs to do it in the postseason. What's the one knock on Joshy? He doesn't have any regular season awards. So it actually is fitting that Joshy has a chance to win the MVP. And I mean, I understand that, some numbers may be in Lamar's favor, but a lot of times when they put those numbers beside each other, they're very misleading. And what do I mean by that? It says Lamar Jackson only has 4 interceptions, right? But do we know on the season Lamar Jackson has more turnovers than Joshy, factoring in fumbles as well? So, yes, he has less interceptions, but he has way more fumbles. So actually, Joshi on the year is less turnover prone. And then if we look at touchdowns, right? I think Lamar has two more if you're factoring in rushing and passing, right? So the numbers are right there. The only thing that is a bit of a gap is the passer rating. But again, one guy is playing with probably one of the greatest backs of this generation who can soften up the coverage, right? Because they have to be in the box. The defense has to be in the box, can soften up the coverage. And then now you're getting a lot of one-on-one looks with Zay Flowers, etc., Mark Andrews, right? So it's a lot easier to pass with that. When Joshi doesn't have any of that, he doesn't have a number one target. He doesn't have a good running back, right? So he's doing a lot of this by himself. This is a one-man show, right? And so with the context there, you understand why the passer rating is in Lamar Jackson's favor and not in Joshy's favor. But all the numbers are really close. Joshy has the wins, and now if you want to say, well, they went head to head, and earlier on in the year, and Lamar Jackson won. Yes, he did. But I think we all agreed coming into the season that the Ravens were better than the Bills. I think most of us still agree with that the Ravens are a better overall football team than the Bills, right? So if you're the better football team, you should win that game, right? So and that was one of Joshy's worst games of the season. So, factoring in everything I just said, I would give it to Joshy because the storylines, the numbers are close. There's crazy stats out there too to back up my case for Joshy, meaning he's the first quarterback in NFL history to have as many touchdowns as he does with as few turnovers as he does with no other pro bowler on his offense. So, with all that being said, he's one more stat for you and then we can move on. But Josh, he's the first quarterback ever to, or one of the first quarterbacks ever. No, yeah, he's the only quarterback ever. Excuse me. They were debating, was it someone else too because someone got injured, whatever. But he's the only quarterback ever to not have any Pro Bowlers on his offense and average 3 points per drive. So that's incredible. And mind you, to average 3 points per drive is pretty impressive. There's only been a couple offenses in history that's averaged that. It was Patrick Mahomes, it was Aaron Rodgers, it was Tom Brady's '07 Pats, and I think it was a team in the '90s. So it's been very few, and then it's 2024 Josh Allen's team. So that puts it in perspective how dominant he's been playing. So I would go with Joshy.
Okay, yeah, I can see your point, but I would still personally go with Lamar. Yeah, he has more total yards, a little bit more total touchdowns, better overall passer rating. And like I said, if you want to factor in the story, which some people will, they're probably going to give it to Joshy. But like I said, I don't think when you even look at the record, it's not a big of enough difference for me to really give it to Josh when Lamar has just been the better player all year. Like, I mean, if you want to argue Josh Allen is a better player than Lamar, sure, that's a different argument. But we're just arguing who had the better season, and that was Lamar, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I personally think who had the better year, I would still go with Joshy, only because of the simple fact when you factor in, having to do more with less. He's had an incredible year, and I get it. The stats are slightly in his favor. I think they're slightly personally. The only thing that has a kind of a big gap is the passer rating. But again, passer rating, you need everything to go with that, right? So it's your touchdown to interception ratio and it's incompletions, right? So you're factoring in all those things, and then you're factoring in one guy's throwing it to a Hall of Fame tight end, a wide receiver one. He has Derrick Henry to light the box, right? So or to heavy the box, which equals lighter coverage, right? So you have all those things going on versus a guy who doesn't have a number one anything, right? So his best receiver is probably a tight end, Kincaid. So factoring in all those things, and like I get it, he got Amari Cooper in the middle of the year, but this guy is not the same Amari Cooper. Like let's be honest, bro. Like no one's talked about Amari Cooper in years. Okay, he's a good player, but he's not what he once was, right? But yeah, I want to move on. I want to get into our predictions here, and we have plenty of time now that we're not on StreamYard, so we have plenty of time now, so we could go into our topics here. So let's go into the first game. The Chargers and the Texans. They play tomorrow at 4:30 Eastern Standard Time. The Chargers go at the Texans. Okay, so the Texans are at home. Who do you have winning that game?
The Chargers are going to go in there and blow them out. And you guys want to know why they're going to do that? Not so much because the Chargers team or because Justin Herbert. It's going to be more because of CJ Stroud. This guy is the P word, okay? He stinks. He's emotional. He's not built for this. Like I'm telling you, he's
Yes.
going to go out there, underperform. Mind you, he doesn't even have his wide receiver for his wide receivers 2 and 3 got injured. So the Texans are not very good at the moment. And Stroud himself has been pretty mediocre all season, even when he had Nico Collins, Diggs, and Tank all on the field at the same time. Like it's clear and obvious that the league has caught onto this guy. Like he had a great rookie year. They got some film though. And now, even though he has a better offense than he did last year, he's regressed. Like it's pretty clear and obvious that he's not the guy that everybody thought he was. Like people were crowning him, trying to put him in top 5 talks when honestly, like he's not even top 10. Like let's be honest. Like I have him in like that Dak Prescott tier where it's like, yeah, they both had good rookie years. Dudes were ready to hand them the keys and shit. And then, they didn't live up to the hype because people expected too much out of them at such a young age when they were balling when teams didn't really know much about them.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. CJ Stroud has been, uh, let's just say, underwhelming at best. In my viewpoint, he's been awful. And it's not just him, trying to make things happen because he doesn't have his receivers. They're bad sacks, they're bad turnovers, they're bad throws, they're bad decisions. He seems like a guy that's seeing ghosts. Like he's confused. Like he's just doesn't know where he is. And he's always crying. He's always emotional. He's always doing a bunch of these things when it's like, bro, your job is to play football, right? Like your job is to play football. And so that's my take on it. At the end of the day, bro, it just comes down to who's the tougher team. And in my opinion, the Chargers are the way tougher team.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So we're gonna get into the second game for tomorrow. Is the Ravens and the Steelers. This is gonna be a good game. So the Ravens are at home during that game. Who you got? Oh, whoa, wait, before we go into that, Texans Chargers, what's your score?
I'm gonna say the Chargers win 30-14. Yeah, 30-14 Chargers.
I say 28 to 14 Chargers. Yep.
28-14.
28-14 Chargers. Yep. So I got that here. I got that here. So we're gonna move on though. Yeah, Ravens Steelers. We got.
All right, I got the Ravens. These guys obviously fight it out every year. They're division rivals, but the Ravens are the home team. I think we can all agree the Ravens are the better team, generally speaking. Their quarterback might win MVP. The running back literally had the best running back season in the league. If Saquon literally wasn't on legendary pace. Like literally any other season Derrick Henry does this, he's undisputedly going to be known as the best back in the league, except this specific season. Okay, so the Ravens are a really good football team. Like they were pretty close to making the Super Bowl last season, and their team has only gotten even better since then. I know Lamar Jackson wants this. There's these talks that he can't get it done in the playoffs. He's a choker. And honestly, I think even Lamar probably knows this. It's probably now or never. I know we were saying this last year where guys were like, yeah, it's now or never. But, it clearly wasn't now or never because they did just get better. But let's be honest, can they really possibly get better from here? Like, I mean, Derrick Henry is 30 years old. Like, he's not going to be great forever. Like, this is honestly their best chance. Lamar wants this. I think the Ravens are going to win the game. Not to mention, bro, honestly, the Steelers are just not that good with Russell Wilson. Like, they're just not very good. Okay. That run Russell had at the beginning of the season, that was clearly an insanity run. I'm gonna be honest, bro. Once George Pickens stopped playing like Jamar Chase, they started sucking. Okay. So I got the Ravens winning the game. I probably think the score will be 21-14. Ravens win.
All right. Yeah. So I think if the Steelers were starting anyone at quarterback not named Russell Wilson, they probably have a high likelihood of winning that game. But because Russell Wilson is the starter, they will lose that game. I think if Justin Fields was the starter, I would go with the Steelers. And that's not troll. I 100% believe that with all my heart. This is a Mike Tomlin game. This is a Pittsburgh Steeler game, right? Wild card round, divisional round. You got your guys who are great on defense. They're chippy. They fight, right? Going up against, a divisional opponent, right? This is a Mike Tomlin game, but there's one problem. You have Russell Wilson as your starting quarterback. And like I talked about when they made Russell Wilson the starter, you're not going anywhere with him as your starter. It's just not going to happen. It's just not in his nature. Okay. Russell Wilson of the old couldn't even do it. Right. So, what made you think a 35-year-old washed up Russell Wilson is going to lead a team to the Super Bowl who doesn't even have a number one target who is mentally stable? Right. His number one target is doing crazy antics every single game. Right. And not to mention, I think what the kids call it nowadays vibes, but what it just means is the energy in the locker room, right? The Steelers have negative energy in their locker room where the players are arguing, they're going back and forth. Cameron Hayward, he's their defensive tackle. He's been there for a long time, but he's kind of going back and forth saying that a couple guys aren't doing their jobs, which is why they lost four straight, right? So they lost four straight games to end the year. So the vibes or the energy is just negative, right? Meanwhile, the Ravens are playing good. They're feeling good. And I think, like you said, it's kind of now or never for them. So I kind of have the Ravens in the blowout. Okay. I have the Ravens, I want to say 38-17. So Ravens
Man.
win 38-17. I think the Ravens, plus the Ravens are at home. I think they just kind of get them out real quick and just get them out the way.
Wait, hang on. Let me just ask you one question. How do you think they're going to score the 38 points still? Like, do you think it's going to be like Russell Wilson, like throwing interceptions, or do you think like Lamar is just going to cook their defense?
No, I think Lamar will do okay, but I just think it'll be a lot of Pittsburgh three and out. Russell Wilson throwing a bunch of goal balls that are like 50 yards overthrown, and you're going to see a lot of complaining and whining and a lot of three and outs. So the Ravens are going to have a lot of possessions because I see a lot of three and outs for the Steelers.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I was just wondering because, yeah, I mean, the Steelers' defense is really good, and both these teams know each other really well. So to say they're gonna score 38 points, like I would assume like you're gonna factor in like, the Steelers offense like fucking up and turning the ball over and stuff like that.
Yep. Yeah, I see a couple turnovers. I see Russell Wilson throwing a couple picks, maybe one pick six, but I definitely do see the Steelers offense just struggling mightily. And, I think players are going to start to give up. This is the fifth straight game where, shit's just not right. Like, obviously, this isn't working. And I see players kind of giving up as the Ravens are at home. The crowd's going. and you're just kind of like, nah, we just, let's just pack it up and get out of here. That's what I honestly see. Um, but yeah, so we'll move on. So those were the three games for the two games for Saturday for tomorrow. Let's get into the games on Sunday, and then there's one Monday. So the first game Sunday is going to be the Broncos and the Bills. Okay, the Bills are at home. Who do you have winning that game?
This is pretty laughable. I think all of America has the Buffalo Bills winning tomorrow. Okay, um, nobody thought the Bills would be the second seed in the AFC. Let's be honest. Nobody thought this was going to happen. Okay. So if they overachieved expectations all season, you think they're going to disappoint on a night where they're expected to probably pull them out? Like, dude, the other team is starting a rookie quarterback. Like, this is going to be a blowout. This game, I think the score is going to be 38-17 Bills.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I actually think I went back and forth. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, because there's gonna be one upset. So I was kind of looking and I was trying to figure out which game is it, but it's not this one. When you do your research, Josh Allen in his career is 4-0 in the divisional round. They've won four straight, or sorry, the wild card round. They won four straight games in the wild card. All four of those came to either rookie quarterbacks or their quarterback making their first playoff start. Okay, so Josh cooks them. Okay, now granted, I know there were a couple games in there that, like the Skylar Thompson game a couple years ago when they faced Miami, where he went off and they almost lost. Right, so there were a couple tight games in there, but for the most part, they've never lost um, in the wild card round, and he's 4-0, and he typically cooks them. And so I don't think this is going to be the game where Joshy just allows Bo Nix to come into his house and beat them. So, but I do think it is going to be a tight, close, gritty game because the Broncos do have the number 3 ranked defense in all of football. And again, Joshy doesn't have a run game. So I think it is going to be gritty. The Denver Broncos, I think they're second in the league at generating pressure and they're third in sacks. So they can definitely get to the quarterback and they could create some trouble for Josh. Okay, so my final score for this game is going to be, you guys are going to be surprised at this, but the final score that I have is 21-9. I think the Bills win 21-9 in a low scoring. It's kind of close the whole game, and then in the fourth quarter, Josh makes a couple plays down the stretch to get them to move on. But I don't think this game is going to be a walk in the park. Denver has a great defense, but they will struggle offensively because the Bills they don't have a good defense, but they have a defense that bends but don't break. So they'll bend, and then they'll give up the field goal, and that's where I see it going. So I see the Bills winning 21-9.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, but we'll move on. We'll get into the second game that we have on Sunday, which is the 4:30 game. So the Packers play the Eagles. And just a little insight here, Eagles are at home, and then Jalen Hurts is projected. He's on a projection to play. Right now, it's still up in the air. He's not 100% cleared yet, but they said all the signs are saying that he is going to play. He has to pass a few more tests, but he looked really crisp in practice. And yeah, they expect him to play, but it's not 100%. So assuming Jalen Hurts plays, who do you have? Eagles, Packers?
I have the Eagles winning. Yeah, I mean, they got home. They're the better team, in my opinion. I think the Eagles are gonna pull it off. For a score projection, I want to say the Eagles will probably win 28-21.
Okay. Yeah, so I mean, I agree somewhat with that take. Um, this was going to be my sleeper game, and not only because the Packers are my favorite team, but because this is kind of like the game that the Packers would win, right? A game where everyone's doubting them, and it's the middle of prime time, and on top of that, Jalen Hurts. This is his first game in 3 weeks. So, it's going to take him a little bit to get going, right? Saquon's a little rusty because he didn't play in their last game. So it's 2 weeks now, right? So he may be a little rusty, right? So this is the perfect time to catch them off guard, right? And sneak a playoff win, right? But there's only one problem. In their last game, their second best receiver, the Packers, their second best receiver or their speed burner, if you want to say, if you want to debate it. But Christian Watson gets hurt. He tore his ACL and he's out for the rest of the year and probably all of next year. So it was one of the worst things that could have happened to the Packers. They couldn't go up or down. So Matt LaFleur just wanted to see more from the offense. Jordan Love got banged up and he was out. So he got hit. He hurt his knee and then they took him out of the game. So he has a knee injury. And then they lost Watson for the year. So two things that the unthinkable, the unimaginable happened to the Packers. And if those things didn't happen, this would have been my upset alert. But unfortunately, because those things happened, I still have the Eagles winning this game. And I have the Eagles winning. I think this is a defensive battle. I think it kind of goes back and forth, but in the end, I have the Eagles winning 21-17.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll get into the last game for Sunday, and then we have the last one on Monday. So the last game for Sunday is the Commanders take on the Bucks at 8 p.m. The Bucks are at home. Bake Show. They go to Bake Show. So who wins that game?
I have the Bucks winning. Yeah, they're home. They have the more experienced quarterback. Like Baker Mayfield has multiple playoff wins, and he's coming off of a career season. I think he's going to get it done. Although Jaden Daniels has been great all year, and the Commanders did overachieve for their expectations, I give them a lot of credit. I really do. Like, I'm not trying to shit on them or nothing here, but I just think experience is what's gonna win them this game. Because like I said, Baker has multiple playoff wins. Mike Evans is obviously a Super Bowl champion. The Bucks are the higher seed. They got home field advantage. So I'm gonna be honest. I think this game is gonna be more of a battle tested game, and the Bucks are more battle tested than the Commanders are through their experiences. So I'm gonna say the Bucks probably win this game 28-21.
Okay. Yeah, this game I have the Bucks as well. I agree with everything that Pete said. I kind of went back and forth on this one too, because again, there has to be an upset, but I try to look for ways to get with the Commanders, and there was some great points. They're on a bit of a hot streak here towards the end of the year. Daniels is back to playing at the level that he did to start the year, so he looks good. He's by far the rookie of the year, right? And so I tried to think of ways that they could win this game, but you know, and they do have experience. They do have Terry McLaurin and everything like that, but you know, I just think the Bucks have a little more experience, and I also think Baker Mayfield will play better in this game. Now, I think that, obviously Daniels has a bright future. He's probably going to end up being better than Mayfield. But right now, we're in Bake Show. All right. We're in Bake Show. And I'm not going to lie. I I can't wait for you guys to hear my predictions next week because once they win this game, right, who they play next, I'm telling you, you just don't want to play Bake Show. That's all I'm gonna say. So I have the Bucks winning this game kind of comfortably, not running away, but kind of comfortably. I have them winning 32 to I want to say 17, but but I have it being kind of close throughout the game, and then the fourth quarter, Baker Mayfield makes a couple of unbelievable plays as he's been making all year. In the fourth quarter, he's been making clutch, unbelievable throws. That's how I kind of see this game happening. Yeah, and then we'll get into the last game, which is the Monday night game. The Rams take on the Vikings, and the Rams are at home, even though the Vikings lost 3 games all year. They're on the road. Okay, so Rams Vikings, who you got?
Okay, this is gonna be the upset game.
I agree.
The
I
Vikings
agree.
are the favorites, but they are not going to win this game. Okay,
I agree.
the main reason is not because they're the away team. It is because Sam Darnold just doesn't have playoff experience. You look at the other quarterback, Matthew Stafford, he's a Super Bowl champion, okay? So Stafford has all the experience in the world on his end. Obviously, Cooper Kupp has the experience as well. And then you factor in the Rams are home also. You mix all of that together, you kind of think to yourself, yeah, well, even though the Vikings were the better team all year, everything we have here just shows us that the Rams are probably going to win this game. Okay. So I think the Rams are probably going to pull off this upset. I think Sam Darnold might fold in his first career playoff game on the road at that. So I think the Rams probably win this game 35-14. I'm going to be honest.
Wow. Wow, that is a take there, my friend. I agree with you. You stole my pick. I don't have that score, but you stole my pick. I agree. I think that I looked at all these games and I'm like, what is the upset? Because you're gonna get at least one, maybe two, but you're gonna get at least one. And this is my upset here, Rams Vikings. When you look at it, you first have to look at, like I said, with the Steelers, right? What's the vibes like? What's the energy like? And this loss, you could tell, like it affected Sam Darnold. Like this is the first game he played his worst game of the year last week. He played his worst game of the year. And you're going to try to tell me a week later he's going to play an even bigger game and play better? I find that hard to believe. Also, there's a blueprint now for how you can attack and beat Darnold, right? Apply pressure, put pressure on him, right? Force him to make quick reads, quick throws. Now, I get it. You know, your back safeties and your corners, they have to be legit because when you do that, you're leaving Addison and you're leaving Jefferson one on one or with just safety help. And that's a lot to ask for that corner or that safety. But if you can get pressure on Sam Darnold, which is hard to do because the Vikings have a great offensive line, I understand. But if they can create pressure and get pressure, that's the blueprint to beating the Vikings. I do think that the Rams will get a bit of pressure on them, but ultimately, I think it also comes down to experience. This is where the playoffs matter and experience matters. And this is probably the worst matchup that the Vikings could have gotten in terms of experience, right? I would have been better if they would have played anyone else, right? If they would have played the Eagles, I would have felt more comfortable if they played the Eagles, right? Because I trust, in my personal opinion, other people disagree, that's fine. But I trust Stafford more than I do Jalen Hurts. One has a Super Bowl, one doesn't, right? And one is a veteran quarterback that's played for a decade plus, right? So I trust Stafford, right? So this is probably I would have felt better if they could would have played the Packers, right? But because it's the Rams and it's like, man, and the Rams were dead all year. They were dead all year, right? And then until they're not dead. And so, yeah, I mean, and they've won games scoring 9 points. They won games scoring 21 points. They won games scoring 40 points. So, you know, they can win games in a number of ways. And so my pick for that will be the Rams. And I think it's going to be a close game. I think the Rams win 21-17 is going to be my score.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I agree with what you said, but I just think the Rams are gonna pull them out.
Yeah, so I think we agreed on every single game, right?
I think so, just about. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, Chargers, Texans, Ravens, Steelers, Bills, Broncos, Eagles, Packers, Commanders, Bucks, and then Rams. We agreed on every single game. Wow.
Yeah, but there's only one more thing though. Are the Texans the favorites for tomorrow or no?
I would assume they're not the favorite. No.
Okay, yeah, because if they're not the favorite, that means we chose two underdogs to win. Yeah.
Yeah,
That
I'll check that. But yeah, I'm assuming the Chargers had a better record, but the Texans just won their division. So unfortunately, they got the higher seed. But yeah, I mean, I think everyone agrees that the Texans are they haven't played good football all year, bro. If they didn't have that middle stretch of the season where they won five straight, but they were like really close games, if they wouldn't have had that, this would have been a bad football team. But they snuck by in the middle of the season by winning five games against bad, they won five straight games against bad football teams by like 3 points. So that's the only thing that saved them, honestly.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, bro. And not to mention that at the time they had Diggs and Tanks still. Like they don't even have those guys now, you know? So
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, but yeah, guys, I want to move on. I want to get to the end of the show. It was a great show. We went over our MVP prediction. That was the only thing we disagreed on throughout the entire show. So, and then we went over our playoff prediction. So I hope you guys enjoy. We'll be back to you guys again on Monday with a recap of all of the games and to see if we were right or not. Before we get out of here, guys, I'm going to remind you to like and subscribe. Help me to impact and to reach as many people as possible. With in addition to that, guys, follow me on YouTube and Rumble, guys, at Kurt's Philosophy if you're interested in the world's deepest, darkest secrets. And then I'll turn it over to you, my friend. Do you have anything before we end the show?
Yeah, guys. Like I said earlier in the show, go follow my personal YouTube channel. Type it in just like this at Pete's YouTube Shorts. Okay, type it in just like that. I'll come right up. All I post is my shorts up here. I just post my podcast shorts that I already post up here. Just for a little bit of extra support. And on top of that, I also post personal life ones of me just doing whatever, just flaming an athlete out of anywhere. So yeah, guys, follow me there for some extra support. I'd really appreciate that. And yeah, that's all I have.
All right, guys. Yeah, definitely go check him out. And then we'll catch you guys again on Monday. All right, guys.
Mhm.
Peace.